Here I am at Big D Signs in Welling in Kent. It's freezing, absolutely freezing. I'm going to go inside and get my rifle wrapped. This is what they do. They cover stuff in camo. Very interesting day. Always wanted to see this process. Let's get on with it. And here's the subject of the day. My absolutely treasured day state. Now, this is my Air Ranger that goes with me everywhere. And I'm going to have the barrel shroud done, the bottle and the stock. I'm going to leave the block and the scope and mounts, but everything else, that lovely walnut, will be covered up. But I am absolutely assured by the Camo It guys that if the time ever comes for me to take it off, it will leave my stock completely unmarked and my rifle will be returned to its former glory. It's going to be an interesting day. Let's crack on and see what the next phase is. Right. There she is, she's all in bits. Took me ages to shoot the bottle empty, but don't forget, if you're taking a day state bottle off, make sure it's absolutely empty before you do so, because the whole essence of this is that this isn't just the experts that can give your gun this finish, you can do it as well. And we're going to be following this up with some tests in the magazine. Our boys are going to do it, and I'm going to offer it up to a reader to have a go. So, let's kick on. Here's what we're going for. This is the Wild Trees Jack Pike pattern. There you go, not complete coverage. I think it looks better with little bits left, especially that breech block there and the trigger guard. I'm liking the look of this. Be interesting to see how my day state comes out. But this is what we're going for. So what do you get in a Camo It kit? Well, first of all you've got to look at the lid. It says on there, air rifle kit with scope. So Paul, what's inside it?
Right.
Plenty of sheet material, a little X-Acto knife, all sorts of different panels.
Lots of panels.
And what extra stuff do you need then?
Pretty much just a hairdryer or a heat gun.
Right.
Something to pull the gun apart with, so your normal screwdrivers, Allen keys, and at the moment some sort of cleaning fluid, but we are looking to put a wipe in with the kit as well.
Okay, so for those who've got kits without wipes, so that'll be just a wipe over with meths,
a little bit of methylated
or something like that,
or isopropanol, yeah, rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, not a problem at all there. Okay, and that is really all you need then. You need the knife, the hair, and a standard hairdryer will do it.
Yep.
You don't actually need the professional sort of heat gun.
Heat gun gets it hotter quicker, but no, a hairdryer is more than substantial for what we're doing here today.
Right, well that looks easy enough. We're going to see you in action any minute now. Right, we're going to kick off with the easy bit. Says he who doesn't have to do it. We got the buddy bottle, we got the wrap that's been cut beforehand, and Paul is now giving the bottle a little bit of a clean with, what's that stuff?
Well, it's essentially methylated spirits. This is just a very light solution of meths and cleaning fluid.
So this is just getting off all the grease so that the glue can take properly on it. Nothing goes inside the bottle obviously, nice and gentle with that. Wipe it all down.
Just make sure it's all dry.
There you go, make sure it's nicely dry. Now the tools to hand are merely the wrap itself and the heat gun and a pair of very skilled hands of the craftsman, but I'm assured you don't have to be that skilled to do this. Now you'll notice he's fitting it and the camo's the right way up, which is essential. You don't want your grasses and stuff growing upside down. So we're peeling the material back, sticking it on. Now I've had mine just done to the two ends. I could have had the end sections covered, but I don't want to because it's going to get knocked about, and I'd rather have a little bit of contrast here and there. It's me being a bit of a tart really. And all we're doing, rolling that on, make sure it's nice and flat, no bubbles. The great thing about this stuff is if you do make a bit of a mistake, you can unpeel it, you just peel it back and smooth it out as you go. You can even have a couple of goes, as we'll see later on. You'll see that even under the heat gun you get a couple of goes at it, so don't be scared of it.
It is just sticky black plastic.
Yeah, there you go, Blue Peter stuff, sticky black plastic. So the interesting bit for me is going to be the cutting. So this is obviously going to overlap.
Yeah, just bring it round. You want to be sort of 10, maybe 15 mil just over the join, and you can actually feel the join through the edge there.
All right.
So So all you want to do is just fold that back to that edge there.
So the joint's been folded back.
Take your X-Acto knife, and all I'm going to do there is just pop it through the vinyl. And I'm just going to slide it that way, and then just slide it back that way. And the reason obviously for that is you don't want to cut on the bottle at all.
Right. Now what we're doing here is just taking your time is the main thing here. Don't rush it. There's no need. You just take your time, smooth it all out. Now we're going to get the gun on it. So what are we doing with this heat gun and what's it actually doing?
All I'm doing now is just basically activating where it's stuck down where the joint is. There's no real reason on a perfectly smooth surface like that, there's no real reason to use much heat, just enough just to make sure that the glue's going to take as it sits down.
Okay, so for more complicated sections then you'll use the heat gun to actually expand. Exactly, yeah, just
basically soften the material up, and then we push it in with our hands as said.
Okay, what are we going to do next?
I think we're going to go on to the barrel next.
Right, the barrel's just sort of an extended version of that, but it's a little bit more complicated. You've got to do a bit of trimming, and we'll move to that now. Right, we're on to the barrel now. More or less the same sort of system. We've cleaned it off with the spirit, peeled the backing off. It's measured up. One thing that's important with this, if you can possibly do it, is make sure that the join comes under the barrel, in the under section of the barrel where it's least likely to be seen. Little bit of time, little bit of trouble with this, and you'll get a perfect result. Remember, this is going to last for years and years and years. And the great thing about it is, while it's protecting your rifle, as soon as you want to sell your rifle or you want to go back to how it was, you can just peel it off and you'll have no trace of it left at all. That is a very important aspect of this treatment. It's protecting, it's camouflaging. I think it makes it look good. Here we go, we're trimming up a bit here.
All we're doing there is that the barrel actually extends slightly past the action. So all I've done is just drop in that section round, and then when we go into here we can follow that line round through there.
Yeah. Sort of miniature carpet fitting this is. I can see what's going on here.
Just a little bit of common sense when it comes to the trimming. Obviously don't ever trim onto the gun. As you'll notice, I always trim away from it as much as physically possible. Always using the edges of the barrel or using the edges of the cylinder or whatever it may be, just to trim down and through.
Right, so you're not going to be cutting any lines onto the metalwork.
No, never ever cut onto the gun if you can
right.
At all avoid it.
That's a good idea.
All I'm using there, just a little bit of heat, just where it's just going around those angles, just to make sure it's all smoothly down.
Now I noticed you loosened the muzzle plug at the end, so that it gives you a line
again
that you can cut to.
So all we're going to do is
you're
take
actually cutting into air rather than
exactly that. Yeah.
So that's cut neat.
If you want to take it all the way off, again, if it's a silencer, if you can strip the ends down as much as physically possible, so that you're not ever cutting onto the gun. Yeah, I
can see that. I think you know you're going to have a market for people who just want to do silencers, because people who go hide shooting, they're forever whinging about the silencers being poked out of the hide.
That's right.
And sort of giving the game away. So
now here I've got no option. We've got to cut onto the gun, but again there is a very small line. Yeah. What I'm actually doing, I'm marking it with my finger.
Oh, I can see.
I'm just going to pull it back. You've got yourself a crease there. I'm just going to pull it back.
Yeah. So you're still not touching the rifle, though?
I'm trying as hard as I can not to cut your pride and joy there, Terry.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not at all nervous. I would be if I was doing it, but no, I can see that. You've sort of made the mark with your nail, so that gives you a reference point on the actual material.
That's exactly it. And what we'll do is, if there's any little bits to trim up afterwards, it's just a little bit, like you say, a little bit of time taken on that, just to perfect it.
An extra 10 minutes here and there,
that's right.
That'll look good, because I think if you don't take that time, you're going to notice it, and that's going to annoy you.
It will bug the hell
out of you. It will really, really get on your nerves. You'll just think, I just wish I'd bothered. Some people won't. We get photos of guns all wrapped up in gaffer tape and painted up with gloss paint and stuff, and people are perfectly happy, and good luck to them. But
that's exactly why we sort of came up with this solution, was because for that exact reason. When I shoot myself, there's nothing worse than, like you say, bits of tape and everything else hanging off the side of your gun. So. No, they work. I mean, they work, but a great deal of shooting is about personal pride of ownership and pleasure, and very much so. So again, I've just marked that there. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I can see the
crease there.
So there's your reference line that you've done with your thumbnail.
That's it.
I suppose you've got no nails. You could do it with a sort of some little plastic spatula. Or
I've not got an awful lot of nails there, so.
Oh, that's good. That's easy. Quite easy to follow. I see it gives you a decent line to cut to.
That's it. And your knife should just pop into that line.
Yeah.
And then all I'm going to do is run it back through. And again, there was just a very slight little crease just appearing. So all I've done is just pulled it back up and pop the crease out. You can't really, obviously with the camo, see the creases particularly well.
No.
But you can feel them. So obviously as soon as you find one, don't be afraid to pick it up. It's very pliable, and it will take quite a few times to before you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I was having a mess about with the section. That is tough stuff, isn't it?
It is. Very
is
much
it completely waterproof, or?
Yes, it is 100% waterproof. It's exactly the same material as we use on vehicle graphics. So it's impervious to water. We also put a protective layer over the top of it, which is a matte finish laminate, obviously anti-glare, but it also protects your vinyl and your ink from UV lights and bits and bobs like that. So it's perfectly protected. So in there, I'm just cutting in. There's a gap between the barrel and the action section there.
Yeah. Yeah, these tricky bits aren't quite as tricky as I thought they were going to be, actually, because of that guide you get through.
That's right.
Through poking it with your thumbnail.
So now what we've got to do is just with the excess, where the line is at the bottom there, it's exactly the same as the cylinder.
I see what you've done, yeah.
You just want to fold it up, and again, as much as we can, try and get a straight line, because obviously we want as neat a finish as possible on the gun.
Yeah,
even though this is never going to get seen, obviously, under the underside of the gun. I'm just going to turn this around because unfortunately I'm right-handed. Can't cut the other way.
All the best people are left-handed, you know. You do know that.
I have heard that.
It's just a coincidence that I am as well, but I can see what you're doing, yeah.
And again, as you said, just following that crease.
Again, not cutting anywhere near the metal work.
The idea of these knives, and it's why we've chosen these knives to select in the kits, Terry, is physically, because they're a very flat blade, you can't slip, they can't bend, and you can't nick the gun with them. So
well, that's again, looking good.
And all we do, just going to put a little bit of heat around that, just to sort that end join out with.
Yeah.
And again, a hairdryer will do this just as well.
So you don't need to cook it, do you? You don't need to actually get it hot to the touch or anything like that?
At the moment, all we're doing is we're just settling it down. We will later on, we're going to go back through and we do what's called post-heating, which is just to warm the gun up, just final. Yeah. And that basically sets all of the vinyl in its final places. So all I'm going to do now is just finish off the end here where the shroud is. And again, with the blade, you find where you know where the end of the gun is. Give it a little pull, just make sure we're in the right area.
I see that's created an opening for you as well, hasn't it?
That's right. Again, obviously, try not to ding or damage the gun all the time while you're doing this.
I guess a friend could help you with this as well.
Yeah, very much so. I mean,
probably two pairs of hands might be good. You could help each other with the rifles.
Indeed. And then all you've got to do is obviously screw that back up when it's there and finished.
Yeah, that is excellent. Now that is a good job. I'm pleased with that. Yes, you'll pass that one, thank you. You can carry on. Right, we're going to kick on with the stock now. Now, this stock has been deliberately chosen because it's possibly the most difficult one that can be done. It's a thumb hole, there's all sorts of curves and cutaways in there. Look, there's recesses here, there's fluted forend, there's all sorts of stuff. And I've done it just to show that it can be done on the most difficult ones. The standard stocks take about half the time this one does. But again, this isn't too difficult. And what we've done here, just to start off, a couple of the trickier areas, they're going to get a sort of a pre-cover so that the remaining covering will be matched up to it and over it if necessary, rather than to do it in one. This is a good tactic, this. I can see why he's doing that. Carry on.
Okay, so what I'm doing, just folding it in. There's no need to try and pressure it in with anything else. I'm just going to put some heat on it so that it adheres. You can see the vinyl going all floppy now, just with your thumbs. And again, there's no special machinery or equipment to do this. It literally is just a case of fold it in with your hands and just push it around into the areas you want it to go. And what we're going to do, we're going to just trim off of these sections here in a second once the vinyl's cooled down.
I see, so when it cools down, it more or less takes a set then?
It goes a little bit more rigid, just allows you to cut it without having to trying to cut jelly, basically.
I see, and when you warm it up like that, then I can see it's becoming stretchier.
It becomes very pliable, which just allows you to get it into those corners.
Yeah, and that allows it to follow the contours of the rifle.
That's now following all of those lines. You can't really see it with the camo, unfortunately, but if you look there, you can see it's actually taking the shape of the curve there.
Oh, I can see, and that's going to give you a line to cut to as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now we're
Good.
obviously going to just do this section as well, and then we'll go on to
Yeah.
wrapping
What would
the
you
sides
do the heel as well?
I try and do this last. So what we'll do, we'll cover
I see
up
that
to
will
either
fold up to
side,
it,
and then we just make a nice piece over the top there, just to cover any joins.
So you'll do the same to the end section.
The end section here,
Yeah.
and then trim it all in, and we're there.
Right, mate. Well, you get on with that, and we'll catch you up when you want to do the big stuff. Right. So you've done the little fiddly bits around the trigger guard area, fore end tip. Now for the big stuff. Okay. In your own time, we'll see how you get on, and I promise once we sort of grasped it, I will leave you alone to get on with your job. I won't hassle you too much. Making sure the pattern's the right way up, and all the grasses are growing.
And just making sure, obviously, you're going to cover every part of the gun that you can physically see.
Right.
Now, it will, as Terry said earlier, if you have to lift it and correct a mistake, you can do that at any time, but try and get it as accurately done as possible in the first place.
Right.
All I'm doing, I'm just going to peel a little piece off, and I'm then just going to position it again. And the reason for that is just so that obviously I don't have to take it off the whole of the gun. So all I'm doing, just tacking that on there.
So this really is sort of stick once, check twice, isn't it? It's
yeah, I mean, you know, as I said, for instance, there, as you can see, it's not quite covering the stock. So
oh, I see. Yeah,
it is as simple as a little bit of pressure, and the whole thing will just pull up.
Right.
And we restart. That's it. It's better. It's
That's
covering
good. What I
every
really
area.
like, there's no static cling with it, is there? It's not sort of trying to grab itself.
No, that's right. No, and again, if it does, for any eventuality, if it does sort of fold over onto itself, you can pull it away. Just don't try and put any heat onto it to try and separate it.
Yeah, I see. Oh, because that would activate it, wouldn't
Exactly.
it?
Yeah. Just pull it away from
Yeah.
itself, and it should, as long as it's not been pushed together, should stay on there. Now, all I'm doing is I'm just feeling the flat of the stock, which is this area here, which I know is incredibly difficult for you to see at the moment. But all I'm doing there is just flattening that down with my hands, and if you run your hand across there, you will feel that there's absolutely no bubbles or any bits and bobs.
Right.
And all I'm doing is just trying to find as much of the stock as I can. So down here's the pistol grip. And
So you don't have to leave slack areas of covering between two flats.
If anything, you want to keep it as tight as possible. So, for instance, there,
Right, I
that's
see.
where and in fact, if we look on the side, you can actually see there,
Oh, I've got you.
it's nice and taut across there, and that's what we're going to do now.
Now, I think that's a very important point. So you're not going to be leaving the thing slack to give you room to actually fill the gaps.
No, because the beauty is of this film that it does that for you.
Right,
So,
the film
which
will
I'm going to show you
stretch.
now. So that section that we've just shown you there with the gap there, I'm just going to, stuck it to the bench.
Okay.
And there's a perfect example. It's all stuck to itself. You just pull it.
Right, so it is quite forgiving. You do get a
Very
few goes
forgiving.
at it.
Yeah, very much.
I think that's going to be important, because there's no way you can avoid this stuff touching things you don't want it to stick
Sometimes
to.
it will stick to the wrong thing. So all I'm going to do there, Terry, is just put a little bit of heat across there. I'm just keeping it taut with the other hand. You can just see it's just gone pliable. And all I'm going to do is feed it down with my finger. Come into the area where the stock is.
I see what you're doing there. Just stretching it and
Just
sort of
stretching it.
smoothing it along.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we've got a very deep curve in there now. I can still get my finger in there if you see in there.
Yeah. Now that to me would be possibly the hardest bit on the.
It's one of the hardest bits, I
On the
would
whole
say.
thing.
But again, like you say, keep it nice and taut. With your hand, just push it into the crease, like so. And it will.
So you're pushing it in there, holding it down,
That's it.
gradually working it from one side to keep any bubbles or anything out.
That's it. Yeah, well, the beauty of this stuff as well, it has what's called an air release system in it. So actually, if you do find any bubbles, just push them with your thumb and the bubble will go down.
Well, so it's almost sort of breathable.
Yeah, it's what they call a bubble-free vinyl. So even if you left bubbles all over it, once you come down to the final heat, you can just push all those bubbles down. Now again here, where it all comes into the back of the stock, you can see there's a crease there. I'm just going to put a little bit of heat. Put it nice and tight, and then feed it into the stock. I know it's incredibly difficult.
Yes, the camo pattern itself makes it because it's almost a 3D pattern, isn't it? And
It is.
yeah, but you can see it, and what you can't see, you can feel. More importantly,
Indeed. Yeah, and that is the trick, which is why we don't use any tools other than our fingers to push it in.
yeah. Well, that's handy, because even I couldn't forget those.
No.
Yes, I can see the system now. So you're relying on the stretch and the heat of the gun to give you the pliability to go in there.
That's it.
I've got to say, this does look easier than I thought it would. And anybody with the skill to change, say, a mainspring or something in a Springer, or to just do a bit of general maintenance on a rifle, I think they look like they'll have enough skill to do this.
Yeah, it is a very basic, simple way of doing things. As I say, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it is just sticky back plastic. A little bit cleverer than that, but
yeah, it's sort of designer high performance type sticky back plastic.
Yes,
but yeah, I see what you mean. But it does give you a hand by being sort of malleable and
yes,
accommodating.
without doubt. Obviously, that's the whole idea of the design, is that it can fold and stretch and sit in all of these areas.
So presumably, you're going to do this to one side.
Yep.
And turn it over and do exactly the same to the other.
That, yeah,
and then you'll meet them with a join, which you'll cut like you did
exactly
on the barrel.
Same as the barrel and the cylinder. Yeah, I mean, always try and have an overlap within the join, and always try and fold it and lose as many of the joins underneath or on top of the gun as possible.
I see what you
want
mean.
as little amount as possible. Again, remembering not to ever cut onto the actual gun.
Now, what do you say about losing the grip on the checkering?
9 times out of 10, it's almost impossible to see it there, but you can feel it there. The checkering you can actually feel it through the vinyl. It may not be quite as strong as the original manufacturing checkering, but obviously it's still adequate for
yeah, it's not sharp, but it's almost like sort of stippling on a synthetic stock.
Indeed.
Yeah,
yeah, very much so.
Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop hassling you with this camera.
Okay.
And we'll come back to you when you've got the other side in more or less the sort of same state as this, and you're ready for the final trim.
Okay.
All right, see you later. Right, we're back again with Paul. Now, he's got both sides on. He's doing all the little filly bits now. And a bit of application with the heat gun look. Stretch the material, put it in that little gap there. Everything's going suspiciously well. Now this is, as I've said, the most complicated one you can possibly do. This will take about twice as long as a standard one, and I've just got a bit of a bonus. We're going to do a straightforward stock as well when we finish this one, just to show you how easy it will be for the majority of the kits. So now we're at the stage of sort of tucking things away, finishing off joins, cutting the stock to fit, the film to fit, and just tidying up. Fascinating thing to watch this, it really is. And as I've been watching it, now Paul's an absolute expert, but I can see that it could be really handy to have a mate sort of help you out, just to hold the stock here and there, just to literally give you a helping hand. But so far there's nothing here that somebody with a little bit of skill won't be able to do, long as you take your time. Because once it's in the right position and you've got your hairdryer or your heat gun, it's just a matter of working it, keeping it working. There's no time limit on it. It won't you don't have you've got to get it done in a couple of hours or the whole lot goes off. None of that. It's just a gradual process. Take your time, get it right. Right, we're right at the closing stages now, so I'll leave them alone until we're virtually ready to put the thing back together. But as you can see, it really is coming together. I'm very pleased with that. Now some will say, what are you doing covering a nice piece of walnut in camo? But I've still got my nice piece of walnut, and I always will have. And if I decide I don't like the camo one day, I'll take it off. And my nice piece of walnut's being protected. It's going to be in better nick after a couple of years of use with the Camo It cover on than it would have been if I didn't do it, because I'm going to get dings and scratches and stuff. This is a working gun. I use this for an awful lot of my shooting, and it does get the odd ding. So just leave you with that bit. Watch how that join folds in there nicely, and I promise you from here I really do have to look hard to see it. Look at that. Very pleased with that. All right, I'm going to stop hassling, and we'll bring you in on the really right at the closing stages. Now we're right at the finishing stages now. Just putting a little bit on over the heel cap, just a bit of a sort of extra. That's where it's going to take some wear there, so I've got sort of 2 layers there. A request of mine. And the next thing we'll do after that is around the trigger guard. That's nicely cut away. Really chuffed with the way this has gone, really pleased. It's taken, I would say, about, how long would you say?
A couple of hours. Yeah,
about a couple of hours. So give yourself at least an hour more than that. And this, remember, as I keep saying, this is the fiddliest one of all. So on a standard stock, a couple of hours, 3 hours maybe, but you know, treat it as a project. Don't do it in a rush. Don't do it, you know, you can't go shooting until it's done. Give yourself plenty of time. Get the right gear in place, nice and clear. Some sort of, you know, half a day if you like, and treat it as something that's an enjoyable addition to the gun. Right, adding a feature. Yeah, looking good, looking good. I've been looking over the stock for the joints and barely see them. But now they're just doing a little bit of making sure everything's smooth, everything's stuck down.
Everything is,
and it is.
Heat a little bit in there.
So we're going to blast it with the heat gun just to make sure the internal surfaces are all sticking nicely. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Really pleased. And as I say, if the day dawns when I want to either sell the rifle, I very much doubt it, but if it does, it can all come off. How long will it take to get it all off? Would you do it with a heat gun, or would you?
Yeah, again, just with the heat gun on the hairdryer, just warm it up, get it really nice and warm, nice warm room, and 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. Just again, be careful. Don't try and pick it with a knife or anything else. Just find an edge. Start somewhere like that, and basically just from there just pull it and peel it, and lots of heat on it.
And there won't be.
Should be no glue residue at all. No, again, alcohol wipe or a little bit of methylated spirits just to take off any residue and just clean it down afterwards. But there should be absolutely no. The whole idea of this adhesive system is that there is no glue residue afterwards.
Brilliant. Right. So now we're going to reassemble. See what she looks all together, and I'm anticipating a great result. After that, we'll get onto a simple rifle and see how easy that is. But so far, very much so good. There we go. It's all back together. It's all camoed up, apart from the bits I didn't want camoed. I could do the scope later on if I wanted to. I'm sure I could do it myself now. I've watched the expert, and it's doable. And there we go. Big smile from the governor himself. Look at that. I think it looks fantastic. I really do. I really like that. And I've still got my walnut underneath. So, yeah, that's a win-win, that. All right. Let's get stuck into another one. Here we go then. This is something pretty simple, and the expert's doing it. So he's cleaned the stock down a bit, wiped it, given it a bit of a wipe down. Everything's nice and clean, taking the butt pad off, and I think we're ready to go. Away you go, son. Now it's the same process, but with a far fewer nooks and crannies to worry about. So that goes straight over there. This is much more likely to be the sort of thing you're doing. Now you see Paul's wearing a heat glove. He's got a glove on there just to, because he's going to try and do this fairly quickly. He's going to zap it a bit with the heat gun. But I think he's showing off a bit here, to be honest. He just wants to show me how quickly he can do it, because I gave him a real challenge with my own rifle. But it's the same principle, look. Just smoothing it in, smoothing it round.
I'm trying to do as much as I can without the use of heat. The more you can get on there cold, the more the gun you can cover, just the sturdier it's going to be in the long run.
This is the Airgun pipe, the English oak. Yes, I should know that. So we're just giving it a little warm up there because we're coming to a curved bit. Airgun World's own Phil Hardman will want something like this, I can guarantee it. He's a big jack pipe fan, and he likes a bit of camo. Yes, things are moving. I think we're already sort of twice as far along as we were with with my rifle, purely because there aren't so many sort of cutaways and chamfers and things to accommodate. But it will be the same sort of principle. It will be smoothing it into the tricky bits on one side, cutting it, leaving enough to sort of overlap, and then turning it over and doing the same thing again so they join up nicely. But I've got to tell you, the joins really are very, very good indeed. You really do have to look. And so far, I've got to say that there's enough grip. The stippling comes through enough to offer grip as well. Yeah, looking good this. Easing the way around. Oh yeah, this is far, far easier, I can see. I do believe I could do this. No problem. Everything has to be fairly clean around you. You don't want this film, the adhesive side of the film, to be picking up dust. So before you start, make sure your work surface is nice and clean. So don't do it on the usual bench with sort of screws and bits of wood and stuff lying around. Have it on a nice clean surface. This is just a sheet of paper we got here, sheet of vinyl, because this is a professional. But have a nice comfortable working height. You don't want to be on the sort of living room carpet. Enough space to keep your stuff around you, enough clear area so you're not sticking on stuff. A little bit of preparation. Yeah, that's really coming on now. Right, we'll pop back when he's closing the deal, and I will give him the time. Meanwhile, the clock's still ticking, but he's flying along with it. And yeah, this is something. Definitely, this is something. Anyone who can shoot an air gun should be able to camo it up, I should think. Turn that over. Look. You can see what's going on. You can really see where it's taken up. It's really stuck to the sides here. Right, we'll shut it down now and we'll come back to it when he's finished. Here's something that's a bit novel. Look, iPhone covers, fully camo, same range. Just stick them on front and they go sticking on the back. Just a little trinket from Camo It. I'm definitely going to have mine done. Nice. Here we go, we're right at the end now. Everything's neatly done. We've even dug out the screw holes there. It looks as pretty as a picture. 25 minutes in, and we're just going to trim off the end of the butt before the pad goes on. So same sort of thing, using the butt as a guide, but cutting away from it. You'll see. Snip that off. He is a bit slick though, this guy, I've got to say. So 25 minutes worth for the professionals to do it. I reckon give yourself a good hour, maybe even 2, it won't hurt. Every minute invested is worth 50 times. So definitely doable, definitely. Looking good as well. Look at that, it was a boring old plain stock. Now she's fully camoed. I reckon with the action, maybe even the scope, give yourself 3 hours to do it. Look what it was before, look. There you are. That's how it was. And that's how it is now. Yeah, I like that. I think I might be getting 1 or 2 of mine done like this. I hope you liked it. I hope you found it interesting. I know I did.